What's up, everybody? ToyShiz here, and I'm back again for yet another What a Week. Lots of fun things going on, a couple tidbits of Star Wars, a lot of great epic finds, but I am very happy to, of course, have on the show, where I'm not just going to be talking to myself this time, a good friend of mine, Jason Langston, JNL Toys. How are you, sir?
What up, Shizzy? How's it going, buddy?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on. If you don't know, he's a former Mattel designer, toy collector. He knows his stuff, and that's why I feel comfortable having him on here. No other reason, despite being friends or anything like that, of course. So, and if he doesn't get this right, he won't be back on.
Yeah, this is a one-time deal, dude. Don't ever ask again.
Yeah, you're probably gonna charge money next time. Like, right. I'm gonna need a little compensation. So basically, you know how this goes. We're just going to go through the entire week and talk about everything and anything that was toy and pop culture related. Some stuff is so just, oh man, we got to talk about it. Probably the Star Wars thing is which we'll land on extremely, but other little things. And if you have any good stories or anything like that, we can definitely chat it up. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do this. I hope the people at home are ready. If you're not, you can always hit the pause button. That's a thing.
Yeah, pause, go wash your hands, brush your teeth, and do what you got to do to get ready for this.
Please brush your teeth. That's a very important thing. So anyways, starting it off, I'm a huge fan of the Kenner Aliens collection, the old-fashioned ones, and including the NECA ones. They're just killing it. But I finally managed to get one of those old Operation Aliens collector cases for the old Aliens line. Did you ever collect these figures?
So the comic shop, I grew up in Arizona, and the big comic shop that was in there is called Dimension X, and
awesome.
And they were during the boom of comics because they only lasted for like 5-6 years and then they were out. But one of the things they did is they would give you trade-in on toys. So and the Aliens figures, they always gave more than what I paid for, which is crazy because there was a Walmart across the street. So I'd run across the street, buy the Aliens figures, and then come back and get store credit for the stuff. So I collected the heck out of those figures, but then I sold them immediately, like shamelessly.
So what you're saying is that you would have had a magnificent Aliens collection if it weren't for Dimension X.
Yes, and if it weren't for my need to have every variant cover and every whatever holo foil of the 90s that they were.
Oh yeah, the trading cards inside and.
Oh yeah. But they still but I love that NECA line, like seeing like the homages, packaging wise, everything. I think it's pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, NECA does such a great job at recreating it to the point where you feel like it's. I always say it's what you wanted when you were a little kid. The NECA ones they're the Kenner ones. They're classic, but in having what NECA does, it's almost like your imagination is brought back to life. Like they're slimy and they're gooey and they're sharp and pointed, and it's, oh man, that would make for a great Aliens movie. I'm telling you, Jurassic Park mixed with Aliens.
You're getting the vintage stuff now, or you're getting both?
I have always collected the vintage stuff. It's been one of those things where you kind of find them here and there, ones that I've missed. But the collector case was second to the last, and then I have one last figure to actually get. It's kind of like a separate entity than the Kenner Aliens ones, but it's one that I'm on the lookout for. So I feel like it's part of the collection. So the collections are never finalized. I tell you that.
Isn't it funny when you're saying like when you were a kid, that's what you would have wanted? And these were R-rated movies when we were kids, and we were able to watch them and actually buy toys. Like it just the thought that Kenner was like, yes, this movie has lots of gore and death. Let's make toys for kids for this.
Yes, but let's not kill people. Let's kill animals, harmless, defenseless animals, and that's how we'll get the aliens.
The dog alien in Alien 3, like seeing the dog get eaten or getting like attacked by the facehugger. That broke my heart. I remember crying when I saw that. But like every human in every other one of the films couldn't care less. But seeing the dog, I was like, no, it's getting the dog.
I know it's what's always like, especially like in John Wick. Every time you kill a dog on screen, it's the worst thing ever. Cats though, whatever, it's fine.
And whatever, cats, stupid cats.
All the cat people are like unfollowed.
Unsubscribe.
Shout out to Django_the collector_. They came across at this is at Five Below. Have you ever been to Five Below? I've been in there once or twice.
I have been in there, and it's pretty wild to go in there and see like Black Series figures and stuff like that. They have a crap ton of Rogue One Black Series figures in there still. It's just like, you need a Jyn Erso? They've got 30 of them.
Yeah, we can always do for more Jyn Ersos. Just army build the heck out of those. But yeah, it's wild that people couldn't find this clone Captain Rex for a long time. I found him at Target when they first came out, and he was, I believe it was $2.50. It was one of those where they goofed it totally, and I was so stoked. Yeah, if you have a Five Below store, you might want to hit that up for older Black Series and lots of other little interesting things here and there.
That's concerned, like when you talk about older Black Series, not necessarily at Five and Below, but I was at the Target in Torrance this morning, and because of the demand for the new stuff, that's when the old inventory starts to get shipped. So instead of stocking up with with all the Rise of Skywalker stuff, now you're getting like the Battle Droid and Amidala and Dryden Voss. Like that wave is starting to pop up again.
Well, I'm glad because I'm still missing Ezra, and I found Dr. Aphra last week, so I'm almost complete with that whole. That's the only one I have left is Ezra Bridger.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, I think I got that one on Amazon just so I wouldn't. I'm a lazy toy hunter nowadays. Like it's like Amazon, eBay, and even if it's like an extra $6, I'm like, it would cost me $6 in gas, so that's fine. Yeah.
Well, there's just so much stuff coming out. I know. It's almost to like, you have to think like who is buying all this? Are you actually keeping up? And for me, some things get, sidetracked, fall into the wayside. And like now I've got the hype of Star Wars again, which we'll get into in just a second. But when finding those figures, I was just like, well, if I find them, I find them. I'll, eventually.
Yeah.
I got some you're gonna love to talk about because I know you're looking forward to these. The upcoming Target exclusive NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles went up. That's a placeholder on Target, and to answer every 300 messages that I got, no, they have not officially gone up yet. You didn't miss them. It's just a placeholder. But I know you in particular are very much looking forward to these. Bebop and Rocksteady, to where I think we have an alliance. I'm supposed to find these for you as well, and vice versa.
And again, that goes back to me being a lazy hunter. So this is going to fall on mostly you finding these. But I think you texted me like, hey, this is up now, and I don't even know. I think I ended up seeing the text at like 2 a.m, and I'm like, oh, that's it. Oh, okay. And I've checked that same text to get the link multiple times throughout the day because yes, I can't wait for those figures. They look awesome. Randy and Trevor Zammit, who's a buddy of mine, Randy Falk and Trevor Zammit, they just kill this turtle stuff. Like they get the cell shading right, and the articulation is wonderful, and like I feel like the quality control has gotten a lot better on NECA stuff, so I don't feel as nervous about paint flaking off or arms breaking and stuff like that, like especially the turtle stuff. But I feel like every time a company goes after turtles, they knock out the 4 turtles, right? And then it's kind of, that's good. You get the 4 turtles, they can reuse tooling. It makes sense because they're just changing colors or changing a few things here and there. But they never go deeper than the 4 turtles. And NECA right away with that animated series, the SDCC one from a couple years ago, they're like, okay, well, here's Shredder, here's Krang, here's a couple foot soldiers. You've got like an instant collection. But then what's going to happen? Are we going to get Bebop and Rocksteady? Are we going to get April? Are we going to get Casey? And every Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con or something like that, they're like, yeah, here, these are in production. We're doing Slash. We're doing cartoon or video game Slash. Amazing to me. Like, and I ran into Randy in an elevator at Comic-Con last year, and I had the movie Turtles in a bag, and I totally fanboyed out on them. I was like, Randy, thank you for these. These are awesome. And he's like, oh yeah, man. He's like, we got a lot more coming. Don't you worry.
Oh, Randy's an awesome guy. He, they put so much time and effort, into these things, and you can see it. And the main thing I like though is that this time around, Bebop and Rocksteady are in one package together.
That's really cool. You don't have to double dip on a turtle, or I mean, and I actually, if they put him with a foot soldier, I still would have got it because it would have been cool because then you're like army building foot soldiers.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
like, no, let's just give them the 2 figures that they want, which is gonna make it so hard to find them.
I think everybody wants these. They've got the first taste of the Target turtles, and now and these should be hitting relatively soon online and in stores. So I would say from now until Thanksgiving, you should be able to find these in stores. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, good luck because they do look awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm very much looking forward to, and especially since they kind of teased maybe an upcoming suited body Krang sort of deal.
It was Brian Weiss, right?
Yeah, Brian Weiss was at NECA and took a couple photos. I always like things like that where it's tongue in cheek, like they weren't allowing me to show too many things, but you have to like look at the photos, and kind of ascertain exactly what's going on, and that's fun, because maybe it is, maybe it's not. We'll see, So.
Yeah, and the the toy designer. I mean, I'm seeing I'm like, oh, it's ball joints. Oh, that's this, and then just in the back left corner, there's the android head. And I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
That I'm very. If like I said, you're excited, I'm excited. If they make that, which it looks like they are, just consider my money thrown at you. Just a flurry of dollar bills.
And I think it's important that to recognize the guys they're working on things. Like Trevor worked on the Turtles figures that have come out already, and then he was at DC Collectibles for a year or two, and then went back to NECA, and he's back in the sewers working on the Turtle stuff. And I think it's important because he's a huge Turtles fan, and he's just really talented, and it's nice to see him being like someone who's passionate working on something. It's like a fan working on something for the fans.
And that's who I want working on my action figures, are fans of the actual properties, because they always know how to put in these extra little tidbits here and there. So
yeah, for sure.
So in moving on, we have what now? Your honest opinions on these? I'm kind of in between. I see them for what they are, and I see if you had a really nice collection room, this would go great. But some of the big ticket items for this holiday season are going to be these arcade one-up machines, like recreating, the Ninja Turtles, the old arcade. You got Star Wars, you got Marvel, and they're starting to hit Walmart stores, and they're between $200 and $500. But Walmart did post up. They have the Star Wars one. It's Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, all the old, I guess you could say, arcade classics.
There's a Mortal Kombat one for that too, right?
Yeah. Mortal Kombat was at Costco, I think. I think I saw it there like a week or two ago.
Oh, okay. I'm not a huge video game guy, but there's something really cool about bringing a toy or a video game cabinet home. Like, I think.
Yeah.
And what are they, like 1-to-1? Are they half scale? Like, what's the size on these?
They run about I think you can get, or I think now they're being shipped with like a little stand that gives them a little bit more, height to them. So I think they're around like the 5.5 foot tall mark, something like that.
Yeah, that's incredible. Nostalgia, man.
Yeah.
and who they're targeting? They're targeting us. These are games that were popular in the '90s, and it's just funny because when arcade cabinets were kind of on their way down, that's when like Nintendo and Sega Genesis and PlayStation, like, they started going up because people were like, oh, I can just play these at home. I don't have to sink quarters in this.
Yeah.
And you can have multiple games in a small space. So it is really interesting to see the nostalgia for these, bring them back. Obviously, there's enough of a demand for them that folks want to take up so much space for just one game.
Yeah, and I know that, like last year and I believe the year before, they had a couple machines put out, and it was like basic stuff like Asteroids, Frogger. But to have Turtles in Time, those are going to sell out. It's not even going to be a question on that. Star Wars one, most likely as well. Marvel. you're probably not going to ever see these go to clearance. So, and I know a lot of people have already sent me photos. You know, it's in their action figure room, or it's in their gamer, man cave kind of deal, and they look great. Great conversation piece. So, I would love to have one. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. I got to find the room.
I feel. I mean, it would be. That's. I mean, it's total like nerd cave type stuff. Like that's
Yeah.
your one big piece that you would work around. And I mean, the Ultimate Turtles fan is gonna totally want one of these, which is me. And now I got my computer here, so I can look up this stuff as you're talking about it.
Yeah.
And like, $400 maybe.
I think that's the only problem, because I do have those games on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, and a lot of times I have those systems hooked up already. But it is, it is a very interesting piece to have. It's
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, vinyl's coming back too. Like when I was at Target, they had a whole row of vinyl, and then just
yeah,
for a long time, the CD section is kind of whittled down to one row, and now you've got the arcade cabinets coming back. That's pretty cool.
I
I'm
think
not.
so.
I mean, that Turtles one's gonna be. Darn it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy it, and then you come home with it. You're like, what have I done? How did this
I just
happen?
went in to get some bread and socks.
Yeah, that's always the way. I went in for paper towels the other day and walked out with two figures, and they were on the shelf. In my defense,
Yeah,
it's not my fault. They were needed to be purchased. So, and I think somebody commented like, "Did you get the paper towels?" I'm like, "Oh my god, that's right.
Oh, I totally forgot the paper towel.
That's what I went in there for, not Dr. Afra."
Yeah, yeah.
And moving on. So, were you ever a big fan of Mad Balls? I kind of sort of had them, not to where I went after them, but a big fan of like the gross out type stuff. But I was at Walmart, and interesting enough, those carts that they roll up to the aisles, it's full of everything that's been torn apart or disassembled or whatever. That's people, throwing stuff in the aisleways. But I found two of these things, and one of them was completely devoid of the slime or whatever that's inside, and the other one was like just torn open in the bag. So I spent about 2 minutes walking between the aisles. I'm like, what are these? Because they didn't have any of the product information on them. And lo and behold, it's a new knockoff Mad Balls series called Deadheads, and you squeeze them, and they got goo inside, and one of them had exploded inside the cardboard box. It's a shame. They're not made very well, I will tell you. But I managed to get the one that I wanted. Have you seen these or interested at
Okay.
all?
How is it spelled with a Z at the end? Like, because it feels like it would be spelled Deadheads with a Z.
Oh yeah, it's DED, Deadheads, HEDZ.
I do it. And they didn't even bother with the A. They're just like, we don't have time. Like, how many letters can we afford?
Exactly.
Maybe 7, maybe 6. All right, go. We got to cut the A's and let's use a Z because that's cooler.
You know how many young kids have now spelled the word dead and heads wrong at school? It's
The ones that so you squeeze it and then like something pops out of it, like an eyeball or something else, right?
exactly, yeah. And the one that I got, it was the Bubblehead Bubba, and a couple of them were there, and I go to squeeze them. The first one, the netting tears off just as
Oh.
I squeezed it, and the other one was completely broken on the backside, so all the slime starts going out the back end, and I kind of like pulled a few out, and one pristine one fell out, but yeah, they're $3.48 a piece, but at the same time, I was like, is this even worth my time? Like going through all these things, like, jeez.
Oh my God. I wonder, like, there's a YouTube video that's on there that says "Deadheads, the Mad Balls ripoff," and I almost feel like that should be the tagline. They should just own it. Like, these are Mad
Yeah.
Balls ripoffs. Like, we're just gonna go for it.
Well, I think that Brainy Bob and Bubblehead Bubba are very close to old Mad Balls figures. Like it's that's what caught my eye. I was like, are these Mad Ball? You know what I mean? Is just took me
Yeah,
a second to. But yeah, they're interesting. There's only 4, and they're fun. I mean, they got good. It's just like an old fashioned like tacky thing. That's why I appreciate it. I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're trying to do. It's
yeah.
they're bringing them back somehow, some way.
Wasn't Just Play or Kid Robot or something doing Mad Balls for a little while there too?
Yeah, they did them. They were for a second. They were at Best Buy, and then I think Target got them, but few and far between. But yeah, I remember going into Best Buy, going like, "Do you have these?" Like they had an Alien one and Jason, and they looked at me like cockeyed, like what? We don't. We sell movies. We sell movies and appliances.
Yeah, the refrigerators are over there. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that's
Oh, you mean a refrigerator?
Can I sell you on a service plan though?
I have a 90-day service plan on these Madball figures in case they rip or break. Best Buy. That's another conversation for another day. I had an experience with Best Buy, and then ever since then, I've just been like, I don't even like to go in that store anymore. I feel like it's like a giant GameStop where no one is in the store and everyone's looking at you like, oh my God, like, what's he here for? Should I help him? And they all kind of converge on you, like, slowly. Like, if you did, like, an overhead shot, you could just, like, it's like raptors in, like, the grass, you know what I mean? Like, just slowly, and it's before you can make it to the door, you've talked to at least 5 people like, what can I help you with today? I'm like, I just wanted to know if you had a Black Series figure. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. It's
Yeah.
same thing with GameStop. Oh, you want to pre-order any video games? I just come in here for this. Oh, well, you can pre-order the next Marvel. No, I don't want
know
to.
what they're doing too, because they put the collector, both GameStop and Best Buy, they put the collectible in the back of the store. Luckily,
Yeah.
GameStop's a shallow store. Shallow. It's but like Best Buy, you have to really go deep to get in there.
Yeah, yeah. They know what they're doing. It's like going to get milk at a grocery store. They're like, yeah, come in. Maybe you'll find like a $3,000 refrigerator on the way in. You never know. There's a TV on it.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. I got one of those Masters of the Universe, the Mega Constructs Castle Grayskulls. You put one of these things together ever?
I have been following. There's you and I think I want to say Robo are building them kind of
Okay.
silently, so I keep checking to see how the builds are going on that.
Yeah.
It's like, isn't it like 3,000 pieces?
Yeah, I finished it last night. I got to take photos, but it is such an intricate, like it's beautiful. I got to get it's been a while since I put together like a Lego set like that, or you know what I mean, like Mega Constructs, but it is insane like what you have to do to build this thing, and it's a gorgeous piece at the end, but it's thousands of little tiny pieces in some aspects.
Wow.
And it's nice. You get to build it in 4 subsections, and then it all hooks up together at the very end. But yeah, it's quite impressive. Where I'm sitting there going like, where do you even start?
At least
So,
someone over there is paying attention to that property too. I mean, they're actually doing some product for it, and they had the win. I think they had the Win Raider last year, and
yeah.
did they have a Battle Bones too? I feel like I saw something like that.
Battle Bones that was exclusive, I think,
Oh, okay.
and that actually went quick. Like people were after that, so that's good to see. I'll be honest with you, I got a couple of the Mega Constructs. I specifically went after the Turtles and the Aliens. But what's nice is the castle comes with He-Man, Skeletor, Beastman, Man-at-Arms, Tila, and it's like I said. I mean, you have to even put all those characters together. They all come in little tiny bags. But when you have it all built and finalized, you're like, wow, they really went to town on this. Someone that doesn't really put together a lot of those like builds and stuff like that, I was like thoroughly amazed. I'm just like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen. So
One of the things that always impresses me about Mega Bloks, Mega Constructs, is that they're not shy about tooling, and
yeah.
Lego is very conservative with tooling. There's maybe 1 or 2 new tools per set, but they don't really. That's what makes Lego so successful, is that you have to have a very strong reason to get a new tool in a set. Whereas Mega is just like, we're going to be as authentic as possible, so we're going to make a whole bunch of little figures, and we're going to make a bunch of unique pieces and stuff like that.
Have you ever heard of Action Figure of the Month from Toy Pizza and Jesse DeStasio?
I have, yeah.
They relaunched for 2020 and got their project fully funded, like a lot funded. They went almost 10,000 over their goal. I will say Jesse will be on next week that I'll be talking to him. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, they went 143% funded on this thing, and they killed it with 2019. Getting an action figure every month and sticking by their goals and everything. But I just thought that I like when like friends of mine they're so passionate about making toys and getting the figures done, and it's reflected in people funding them and wanting their toys and everything else.
I think Kickstarter has changed the game in a lot of ways because you have some people that have zero experience and they kind of work their way through it, and people that have a lot of experience and they're able to come and get stuff made, and they can see how hard it is, or it's not easy to get stuff done, and some of the like guys like Jesse DeSazio, they make it look easy because they go in,
Yeah.
we're fully funded, and you're probably not seeing a lot of the heartache. It'll be interesting to hear what his perspective on that, the behind the scenes stuff. But
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. There's another guy that his name is eluding me right now. He does Beasts of the Mesozoic,
Hmm.
and he's like a sculptor for NECA, and I think he's done some other stuff. But Dave, I think his name's Dave. So he's gone through Kickstarter to get stuff done, and he's a guy who's got tons of experience in the industry, and he was telling me that he had a rough time at first getting it going, but once he kind of ironed out the bugs, it's just a game changer. He
Yeah.
things made. I mean, and it's just a matter of finding a factory that you trust that can get stuff done, and then just being upfront with your customers, like, hey, listen, this isn't something that's going to be done right away. So as long as you understand, and it takes an educated consumer to understand that. And I think for the most part, collectors are pretty educated in the processes now. Like, we didn't understand when we were kids. Like, we didn't know why you'd pick up a movie figure like Last Action Hero or whatever, and like they're not wearing the right colors that they were
Yeah.
in the movie, or the sculpt doesn't quite look like they did in the movie or something like that. But now I think collectors are more educated. They understand that reference comes in at a certain time, and it takes a year to a year and a half to get stuff made. So when they come in, they say, "Hey, want to do Action Figure of the Month Club," but you're not going to start getting product for a while. I think they're understanding that, and it's great. I mean, I think about that kind of stuff all the time. Like, what would I make? What would I want to do? And I just can't get out of my own way to figure
Hmm.
out what I want to make. But to know that something like that is out there and doing well it's inspiring.
Yeah. You know exactly how it goes into making these toys, especially with your work at Mattel and everything. And I know that a lot of people they don't necessarily understand the time and energy it takes to make these types. It's not just a simple fix or an answer. It's multiple layers of getting things done, and it's difficult. But when you finally have that finalized product in your hand, you see all the work and everything you put into it, and I think that's the most rewarding aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's this gives the creative outlet for that to get done. And I mean, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And talking about subscriptions, and I think that's in some aspects that's how the toy world is kind of going, especially with NECA taking over Loot Crate, and they're having specific funded Loot Crate boxes. One with being the Ninja Turtles, the Spirit of Splinter, but then you also have like say the yearly subscription to Marvel and the Marvel Unlimited, and then you get a special Marvel Legends figure from it. This one being a a repainted Deadpool, and it's just a purple Deadpool. They didn't really do anything to it. But have you ever subscribed to any of these things? I haven't personally, but I've missed out on these figures in the past, especially the Venom Punisher one that was last year. So
I don't, and I think it's cool that Loot Crate was sort of rescued by the guys that really understand collectors, and
yeah, the Marvel it's always just a repainted thing, and you get like a pin and maybe like an exclusive comic. And you know this kind of going in. So this one in particular being like a blind bag situation. Blind bags are not exactly my thing either. I don't think we have the mentality for that being older. It's and blind bags sort of being like fairly new concept in the world of toys. When they did a Star Wars: The Black Series one, where it's a blind bag situation, and they put a Black Series figure in there, and people weren't too happy with the one that they chose.
yeah, it was
But yeah,
just another trooper, right?
yeah, it was a snow trooper with a cape,
Yeah,
and it's Yeah, I don't. I know exactly what you mean. I don't. I see these Ryan's World toys at Target, and it's like $85 for this giant, massive thing, and it's a big question mark. Like, what's inside? I'm like, why would who is spending $85? And I get it, kids love that. It's a time suck for kids. You know, like you put that in front of them, and you can come back to them in a week.
Right.
But
The only blind bags that I ever really got into were the Lego ones, but
yeah,
I'm tactical about it, man. Like I'll stay in a store and I get the weird looks from people because I'm 41-year-old guy standing in the toy aisle and I'm feeling the blind bags for that one piece. It tells me which characters because I don't get the dot pattern thing on. I know there's supposed to be like a production dot pattern or something on there. I don't.
yeah.
It's like telling me to look at the painting and seeing a sailboat, and I just don't see the sailboat. So I'm like I stand there and I'm like feeling them, and I just kind of like daze off. So I mean, I basically Ray Charles my way through it and try to find every figure, and then come home with blisters on my fingertips because I can't do because it's like it's six sides. I can't feel anything. I'm out.
Yeah. No, I do that with the Nintendo squishy things. Like a couple of them are like, oh, that size of a character that would fit. And I did it one time where I go, okay, this is definitely this one, and I open it up and I got home and I'm like, son of a gun, how did I mess up that bad? You know what I mean? It wasn't even. So
Yep.
I'm not. I'll tell you right now, I'm not good at doing that either. Is but I have seen people like yourself, in the aisles, like kind of squishing and crunching and stuff like that. And I'm like, you bunch of weirdos just sitting
Yep.
there and
We are absolutely I started. I was at a Target in Orange County, because and my like at the time I had my like 8-month-old son in the cart, and he's just sitting there, and I'm like, he's napping, so it's fine, and I'm just crunching through bag after bag after bag, and I was staying there for like an hour and a half until I had all 16 of the, or yeah, I think it was like 20 or something for the Disney ones, and every time there's a
yeah.
new, there are more characters. So, oh man, that's where they get me.
See, I'm the weirdo when it comes to like Transformers figures between Siege, child friendly ones. I'm matching them up. Like I'm holding up Optimus Prime. Like, okay, does this figure kind of scale well with this one? Can he go in the line, or you know what I mean? Like
Right.
the looks that these workers probably get, like you don't even know. They're just like, who? Like that guy's back in the aisle again. Like, should we
Yep.
call security?
Yep. I get the weird look too when if I go into Target early and I see the cart over there with all the master cartons on it. Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I try to be casual about it, but there's no way. I mean, I'm wearing a Flash T-shirt. Like I'm going in there. Like I haven't taken my shower for the day yet, so like I know I stink. So I go in and it's like, like I'm looking at master cartons and trying to find like that one detail, like because now they're starting getting sneakier about it. Like they don't put full descriptions on there. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not gonna be. No, no, that's just more LOLs. Okay, I'll go. That's fine.
Oh, there's nothing worse than getting like shame caught, like pulling a box off
Oh,
the cart rack, like, oh, sir, we haven't put those out. I'm like, oh, I wasn't
oh, is that? Oh,
doing anything. Well, that leads me into like, I walked into a store early morning last week, and we have been talking about this. It's another figure you want. The first time me finding the Pink Ranger from Hasbro's Power Ranger Lightning Collection. What are you thinking on these? These are right up your alley, huh?
yeah, I'm a big Power Rangers guy. I mean, essentially, I'm finding that I'm mostly like whatever I liked in the '90s. That's the stuff that I collect.
Yeah.
So, and I try to be a little more open-minded than that, but it's harder. But the new Hasbro Power Ranger stuff is great. I think it's cool that they're coming out with great accessories. They're giving you alternate heads. They're not making you buy the figure twice just to get a different head, because they know that the money's in the classics, in the Mighty Morphin stuff. But
Yeah.
having the Dragon Shield versions come out first is kind of sneaky. But they are
Oh, they
making.
know what they're doing.
I mean, but they're exclusive, so it's kind of like if you don't get them, it's okay because you're still going to get mainline opportunities to get them, and
Yeah.
it's brilliant because they're saving on tooling. They pay the tooling for the shield once, and then they can use it again and again, and so I totally get it. I know why they're doing it. But that Pink Ranger is definitely on my hunt list right now. I'm checking Walgreens and Targets trying to find her. The only thing that's tricky with that is that they have to, because it's Hasbro's big toy company, they have to promote their current properties as well. And I don't know that there's the huge fan bases built in right away for like Beast Morphers, because that's the new series.
Yeah.
So, but they've already come out with several of those Beast Morphers figures, and it's kind of like I'm not there yet. Like I haven't watched the show enough to get excited to want to get the figures. Like I'm not. I need to have some kind of emotional connection with characters. I'm not really good about just blindly buying characters because I can't have another Constable Zuvio on my conscience.
Oh my God! For the love of God, I hope that character just shows up for like a split second in this upcoming movie, right? Just like I don't even care. Just have him get killed off in 2 seconds, but give him a bone, throw him a bone.
Let him do something. Let him be the person who found the lightsaber.
He's Palpatine.
Yeah, there it is. This whole time we thought it was
Constable Palpatine.
You know, I love Mighty Morphin. I was definitely too old to watch it when it came out, so I couldn't really talk about it with my high school friends. But I love the kind of Godzilla man in a suit, kind of in a monster suit.
Yeah, I agree
about it, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was so different than anything that was on TV at the time. So I'm definitely on the hunt for the OG stuff.
Well, I grew up with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, so I'm on board for all of those. I mean, I even really don't know. At least I don't remember Zach wearing the Dragon Shield. I ordered them from Walgreens. But yeah, anything that's Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, I'll definitely be getting. But I really want them, and I think we're going to know some more with these conventions this weekend. They have a little panel at the Paris Comic Con. So, yeah, we'll probably maybe know something Friday, Saturday. But I'm really hoping that they do more of the monsters as opposed to Rangers over and over again.
Yeah,
because those monsters are so, and not even Rita in them. I'm saying, I mean, of course Rita would be great, but I want like King Sphinx, the pumpkin rapper, and I mean, there's so many fun designs. The pig.
Yeah, like the gladiator pig, which essentially looked like a mad ball with legs.
Yeah, exactly. See, all this stuff ties in eventually, right?
The fact that they came out of the gate with Lord Zed and Goldar was pretty strong. I mean, that was setting like, and I thought the Bandai ones were the last attempt that they had at them. I thought they were pretty solid. They were a little tall, but I thought they were pretty solid. Articulation was great.
I collected them. Yeah, I liked them.
I thought they're great, and what was cool about their kind of release strategy is that they're like within 2 waves you'll have the team, and you can build a Zord. And I thought that was pretty smart and cool because then it kept me engaged.
Yeah.
I'd say the one downside to the Hasbro one so far is that they are just taking their sweet time releasing characters. I think we've only with you have to if you include the exclusives, then they've done more. But I just like they've only done like 8 for the year, and not including the exclusives. So it's just kind of like, man, that's one wave of Star Wars, the Black Series stuff. Like, why are they taking so long to do it? Unless they just don't know how successful it's going to be, and they're just being real timid about the releases.
Yeah, I think that in that sense of like learning to walk before you run, and then who knows, maybe next year will be an onslaught. Yeah, I know that Wave 3, the leaked rumors, Yellow Trini will be in it, and then Drakon, whatever his name is.
Yeah, yeah. They're gonna milk that Tommy. I mean, he's the most successful and popular Power Rangers character of all time, so they have to.
Yeah.
They have to do that stuff. But the one thing that kills me is when I don't want them to do Drakon right away. You know what I mean? Like even doing the Pink Ranger right away. Like the Bandai ones just came out, and you can go to GameStop and still find them, and they're just as expensive as the new ones, unless you're lucky to find them on clearance or on sale. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like I don't want to pick and choose yet. That's why I love that they did Goldar and Zed right away. It's like, okay, that gives me some variety to say, all right, I'm in. I'll do this because I don't know. It just feels weird.
Well, in that sense, are you a big fan of Vin Diesel? Is that a good transition? Right?
If I said yes,
I love Vin Diesel, man. He just you can never not have a good time watching that guy. Like even that old street. You saw the Street Sharks Toy Fair.
yeah,
Uh,
legendary. I mean,
oh my God.
the vest alone, just
Yeah.
he looked like a street shark.
Yeah. He was like mid transformation. Like, oh.
Okay, I need to hear his best two roles, and if either one of those is incorrect, we're done.
Triple X and Fast and the Furious.
God, Shiz, what is the matter with you? It's Groot
That's
and
barely a role. He says one word.
Iron
He got
Giant.
an iron. Oh, okay. I'll give you Iron Giant. Yeah.
No,
Superman.
no, you know, my favorite Vin Diesel movie, I guess if you want to call it that, was Pitch Black.
Oh yeah. Chronicles of Riddick. Yeah.
Not Chronicles of Riddick, Pitch Black. Before they decide, but they got a big head about it and decided to try and make a big star out of it with that ridiculous Chronicles. Pitch Black was a small budget because it was just so different and so good because it was such a simple story. It was ridiculous. It was such a B movie. It was awesome.
They had good alien creature designs for that too. That would be
like the smart thing about that was they were like less is more. Let's not show them, and that makes them even scarier. So when they finally, and I think it just had to do with budget. They probably couldn't afford to use them that much.
Yeah.
But they, when they finally showed them, it was scary. That was a scary movie.
Yeah, it was a very effective movie. And that, in talking about Chronicles of Riddick, would they make two after that? I think they even pulled in Judi Dench into one of them. But
yeah, honestly, I had no idea. I knew they made one. I had no idea they made a third one.
Yeah, it's they weren't the best, except for I will definitely give you Pitch Black. But after they decided to kind of do like a series around it, I was like, eh.
So Vin Diesel is doing the Bloodshot film, right?
He is, and it looks awesome because I'm a big fan of just mindless carnage. And a lot of people are saying like, this doesn't have anything to do with the Bloodshot comic. I'm not a big fan of the comic. I could tell you like the basics of what that is, so I have no attachment to it. So in seeing this, I was more like, all right, let's.
Just looks like a fun movie. That was I didn't know anything about Blade, but after I saw that first Blade movie, I was like, man, I love Blade. Blade's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him in the comics. I still have not read a single story about him in the comics. Not that I don't like not that I'm interested. It's just like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some Marvel person's gonna send me a message on Instagram now, but I don't know a Blade story. Like I don't know. Like, is there a Reign of the Superman for Blade? Like I don't know. Like I don't. Is there a No Man's Land for Blade where it's just a definitive storyline? Like I don't know. Blade was super cool even without knowing anything about it. So if Bloodshot's the same way, then yeah, let's go for it. It should be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And talking about Blade, like my introduction to Blade was Spider-Man the Animated Series. I really didn't know. I knew who Morbius was, but I didn't really know Blade. Mm-hmm. And so for like seeing those characters, and then when you see those characters, you always want to know more. I was like, oh, even as a kid, I was like, oh, this is like heavily dumbed down, for children audiences. But when that Wesley Snipes movie came out, that's still one of my favorite original Marvels.
Yeah, and that second one was directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like that was my first introduction to him because I hadn't watched any of his horror movies, and I was like, this guy gets genre, like he gets he understands kind of like what makes B movies great,
Yeah,
and what makes monster movies great.
So he has fun with it. It's the character designs and then the character interactions that really hold his movies up. The other thing is that the McFarlane Toys put out that they're having an action figure based on it, so that's on Amazon and Walmart and things like that. So if you look at the figure, he does have that classic all white skin, with the Bloodshot symbol in the middle of his chest. He's all armored up, and he does look like the comic book character, but like a movie version. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. But as I'm to understand about Bloodshot is that he's like a guy who undergoes like a RoboCop almost kind of situation where he gets put out. He's like a hitman assassin, and then he quickly learns that he's being used, and then I guess turns against his creator. See, it's like the basics of what I know. So again, going into this movie, I know a lot of people are like, "What? That's not even close." Yeah, I hope this movie's good. I'm interested. So actually, the action figure for McFarlane Toys looks actually pretty good. And it's a 7-inch scale. It comes with a bunch of weapons and a knife and a stand.
I did see the figure. The figure looks great. I mean,
Yeah.
The likeness is great, and it just kind of depends on the film. Like if the film resonates and if people are interested in it. But
yeah,
it looks so schlocky to me. Like I guess maybe that's what it's supposed to be.
It's nice to just go into a movie every once in a while where I have no idea about this particular character and be like, cool.
That was Guardians of the Galaxy for me. I knew nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy, and even from what I hear, they're not like the original Guardians. Like they're the more modern team of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know a ton about Marvel. Like I know a lot more than maybe the common person does, but I was a DC kid growing up, so Marvel was just kind of like I knew the popular characters. Like I knew the Fantastic Four, I knew the X-Men, I knew Spider-Man, stuff like that. But like getting down into like the C-list characters like Guardians, I knew nothing. So when I went in, it was so refreshing to be introduced to a new world and not be like, Star-Lord would never say that. That's not what Star-Lord would do. That's, oh my God, Groot doesn't look anything like he does in the comics. Like I don't know. And now they're my favorite Marvel team. Like whenever I'm always excited whenever they're on screen. And so
I agree. Yeah, I knew who the Guardians were, but in seeing them on screen, those have now become my definitive versions of these characters, even though they're not too comic booky in that sense. Yep. But I know that the comics have incorporated a lot of what happened during those movies, or how the looks, and which is interesting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's what I think they look like. Like I don't know any different. So even when it comes to like my Legend stuff, I don't collect a lot of the MCU figures, but those are I have those and I have the Black Panther ones because I don't know about Black Panther in the comics either. So it's like I like those versions of them. So to me, that is them. But I would just think that not a lot of fans will know. The common fan will know who Bloodshot is. But with the movie, could be. It's not a great sign that the movie's coming out in the dead of February. Like that's. Like if you said April, that's okay. That's when a bunch of Marvel films will come out.
Yeah, and you never know. Like with those, like it's as you know, January, February, March, up until April is when it's like considered the dead zone of movies. It's where they throw all their, no one's doing anything. Why don't you go to the movies, kind of thing. And lo and behold, sometimes when they do that, if it's a good week or it's a particularly boring week, people will be like, I want to go see this, and it's a hit. And it ends up making a ton of money, and then they go, oh, well, let's release it next time, sequel for summertime, or it's Christmas time. We're going to get to the Star. I know everyone's been wanting to hear about our thoughts on Star Wars, but really quick, Walgreens, all their exclusives got thrown out online. If you've been, they had the Dragon Shield Black Ranger, you got the Dragon Ball Super Saiyan Gogeta, which I'm trying to understand Dragon Ball stuff a little bit more here and there. And then Danny Moonstar from Marvel Legends kind of went in and out, still kind of is going in and out. Silver Surfer even went up for a split second, oddly enough.
That one's been gone for a while.
Yeah. And that was kind of, literally somebody messaged me, and by the time 15 minutes had gone by and I looked it up, it was already gone. So it must have been old stock, that they found. But,
and going more towards finds this week, shout out to Transformers Adventures on Facebook, and also, of course, Paradise_Loot for the heads up. The new Walgreens exclusive Transformers Series 35th anniversary figures are being found. They have this gorgeous, gorgeous display of all the figures. So if I could get one of these, that would be amazing. But they are starting to hit now. These were, of course, found in East York, Pennsylvania, and a lot of people have actually written in since then. This was about 1 or 2 days ago, so they are slowly but surely trickling in. They are slated more for a November 1st sort of release, but you can actually get these if you don't want to traverse Walmart. You can go to my friends at Doming Toys. I'll put the link in the description below. They have these for sale now. Walgreens exclusives, Walmart's exclusives, all of them, all the different kinds of exclusives. They got them all, and they got them fast. Mezco, oddly enough, released this brand new LDD Presents The Lord of Tears Owlman, which is an interesting... I had to do some research on it. Apparently it's like a gag horror kind of series on YouTube. But it's very interesting. It's an Owlman, 10 inches tall, 5 POA, not a lot of articulation, but very, very interesting looking, very different. And I think that's where Mezco Toys really does shine a lot of the times, that they do these really interesting sort of figures that come out of nowhere. But if you want them, pre-order is up now for $46. Shout out to JWMP_show, always writing in. We got this new Aquaman movie Mira figure. She's looking to be around a July 2020 release. She's going to have different effects, water effects, wine effects, which I thought I'd never see before. You know, when she uses the wine from the bottles in the movie and uses them as spears. Go watch the movie. I actually really liked it. But pretty much spot on to Amber Heard, I will say. Nice sculpt to her. So expect more information as that continues. Amazon, really quick, put up the pre-orders for the Grey Hulk. This is going to be coming out on November 4th in all aspects. Hasbro Pulse, fan channels, yada yada. So GameStop has them for $50. If you can get them online like Amazon when they does go back up, they're only $35. So I would recommend maybe kind of sort of waiting. This was interesting. It's like a knockoff Hulk. This was being passed around online. It's 100% fake, although maybe for some it'd be an interesting talking point for your collections. It's definitely a KO. But hey, you know what? If you're into that kind of thing, it might be right up your alley. If I get the opportunity to kind of get one, sort of, yeah, I'd be interested in definitely checking it out. Also found was the Crack Shot figure for Jazzware's 6-inch line. It's being found in Delaware. So Walmart exclusive Crack Shot 6-inch figure. The SKU number is 949562427. So be on the lookout this weekend for one if you do want one. Also up on Entertainment Earth. Now this is a little bit weird. This is from the New York Comic Con. Super 7 had their RoboCop reaction figures. They're back up on Entertainment Earth, but they're not slated until December 2020. So it's kind of like probably a second batch going into production. But if you want to get them, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description below. And again, shout out to JWMP_show for the heads up. They got a new Mafex Spider-Man Far From Home figure. Also expect another May, June, July sort of release next year for old Mafex. Extra head portraits, some webbing effects, hands, all those things you expect with Mafex. So let's get into Star Wars.
Finally, even it's 2 months before the movie comes out, but you saw it, I'm sure. Are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure you saw it? You
know. Is that coming out this year? Is that a new movie coming this year?
Hopefully. I mean, the rumors were that it was it's these internet rumors they get started like, oh, they're 75% incomplete, and test screenings said it was terrible, just the most awful movie, and there's 6 different endings to this movie.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of movie companies making up rumors and people just attached to that. And there's all these 50 million YouTube videos online going, you know, their little taglines like, Disney said, what about the new Star Wars? And then you watch it.
What Bob Iger had to say.
Yeah, Bob Iger hates Star Wars. And you click on it, you're like, Bob Iger actually likes Star Wars, but now that you're here.
Yeah.
But what did you think? What's your thoughts?
Star Wars is tricky for me, right? And I think it's tricky for everybody because I think everyone has their ideal version of Star Wars in their mind.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the original trilogy because that's what I grew up with. I watched. It was always on USA Network at Thanksgiving, and then the new VHS would come out that had like an extra 30 seconds, and so we'd have to run out and buy the VHS tapes of it. And then, you know, the next generation that came along, it was the Clone Wars. It was the prequels. So they are very passionate about that era of Star Wars. For them, Star Wars is giant lightsaber battles and huge spaceships and lots and lots and lots of droids and clone troopers and stuff like that. Like, it's more the war aspect of it.
Yeah.
I like, for me, the new Disney Star Wars doesn't stick with me. It's not that I don't like it. I think they're entertaining and they're very well done, and the music and the visual effects are stunning. I mean, they are stunning. We're watching the Battle of Hoth in Empire, and I'd always look out the window, like the side windows of Wedge's snowspeeder, whenever they would go past them, because you could always see like the matte lines. And now you're practically in space. Like, it's the graphics have gotten so good, but I feel like I mean, fandom can be super toxic when it wants to be, because everyone has their version of what they think it should be.
Yeah.
And I think the thing to keep in mind is that Star Wars is supposed to be for everyone, so they have to do things that reach different audiences, and it's very difficult to make things that reach all audiences. It means you can't take the kind of risks that certain movies can take when they're niche, and they're like Bloodshot is very obviously targeting that like old, violent action movie. I think Daisy Ridley is charming and she's wonderful, and I think that she's been a great lead. The kid that plays Finn is very charming, and he's funny and he's great. So I think they've cast it well. I feel like there's no vision for a through line for the films. So the first film came out and it felt like sort of a greatest hits film for Star Wars. It was like, we have X-wings and we have TIE fighters, and you love the Millennium Falcon. Well, here's Han Solo and Chewie, and they're on the Millennium Falcon, and you like Death Star, we got a Death Star too, and you like snowtroopers, here it is. Like, it's kind of like, remember what you loved about Star Wars, and it sort of alienated the prequel audience a little bit, because they're like, no, I'm about lightsaber battles and the Clone Wars stuff. Like, this isn't for me. This is targeting the complainy older generation. They brought in a female lead because that's very popular with Katniss from Hunger Games and Elsa from Frozen. It shows that, and thankfully, because it's about time. It's okay to have a female lead. It's wonderful. It's the kids need to see people who look like themselves on screen. The new Star Wars just doesn't have like a direction, and J.J. Abrams was brought on for the first film, and he's great about trailers. He makes the best trailers. I get excited about everything that he touches because of his trailers. And then the things that he makes, I'm kind of like, yeah, it was good. No, but the trailer, I was so excited about the like. If he just had a trailer, like his job was just to make trailers, every film would be Star Wars. But they're so like, and he's really great about asking questions, like posing questions, like who are Rey's parents, and what happened to Luke, and what happened to the like why is it the Resistance and not the Rebellion? Like, I thought they won, and he does all this stuff, but it didn't really seem like they had the answers. It just sort of like it's just like Lost all over again. Like, what's in the hatch? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Isn't it cool that we're doing these backstories on the characters? It was like, yeah, it's cool, but I really want to know what's going on with the hatch. And they didn't really. It didn't seem like it was thought all the way through.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling that way with this new movie, because they had Rian Johnson come in, and I thought Last Jedi was really entertaining, and it took a lot of risks, but it didn't feel like Star Wars. And that's when I started to realize, like, oh, this isn't. It's not. I don't know. It didn't feel like this is for me. This isn't what I want Star Wars to be.
Yeah, they with the Last Jedi, it was a case of, this is not like you're right. They took risks. They did something different, but it's ultimately not what I wanted to see. And there's so many things that I think of in terms of like logistics. Like, wait a minute, your friends you're in like, I've watched videos on this, like, explain to me how the high-speed space pursuit works, and I get it, but I don't get it at the same time, because I'm just like, why are we not blowing these? Like, the First Order can't blow these people out of the sky, and then they go off on the thing.
Like, when they're at a range. Oh, okay. I mean, it's light, so you just shoot it and it continues forever. But okay, like, light doesn't disappear. The one thing, and I try not to get hung up on technical stuff, because it's they're in space with gravity and stuff, like, and they can breathe and they make noise. So but the thing that bugged me was the fuel. Fuel has never been an issue. Star Trek, yes, they have to have dilithium crystals. They have to have it. They have to power the ship. They got to go down and get dilithium crystals. But in Star Wars, they never had fuel be a problem.
No,
so like,
never.
we only have fuel enough for one more hyperspace jump. I'm like, that was never an issue before. Like, it's so weird that, like, and they did it in Han Solo and Solo movie too. Like, all of a sudden, fuel is this, like,
and the dice, and don't forget the dice.
But like, fuel coming in, like, we've only got enough time for, like, did somebody watch an episode of Battlestar Galactica where they kept having to jump? I just wanted them to make the Thrawn trilogy. Like, I would have been more excited about seeing that on screen.
Yeah.
But it's too late. Like, that storyline is supposed to take place right after Jedi, and it's been 30 years. So, Han and Luke and Leia they're kind of too old to be the main characters now.
It's like you said, like I would have loved to have had a new set of characters, and then by the end of the first one, let's say episode 7, you meet up with Han or you meet up with Luke, and then the second one it's more adventures and they're trying to figure it out, and it all culminates with this one. You got the old gang and the new gang, one last Star War.
That's kind of how the first one felt. Like it felt fresh in the beginning, like a stormtrooper. We're actually getting to see under the helmet. They're not just like faceless people. And like, oh, this is very interesting. And even though they're trying to find a droid on a desert planet, just like in New Hope, it still felt fresh. We don't know what's going on with Kylo Ren, and he's kind of like a spoiled child, and it's just kind of like that was interesting. But as soon as they felt like, okay, this is too much newness, here's Han Solo and the Falcon. I keep going. I think that's what's so great about Star Wars Rebels. And now, granted, I only watched the first season of Rebels. It felt like it was all brand new storylines. Get interested in the characters. It's happening within the world, and there are Jedi's. There are stormtroopers and stuff. So it's the elements that you like from Star Wars. But we don't have to bring Luke in. We don't have to bring in Leia. Like we don't have to endure the Falcon. Like you don't have to have those things to feel like it's Star Wars.
That's exactly what they did right with Rebels. Was it felt like a new team and a different side of the galaxy where you don't require Luke. Yeah, it's. I wouldn't say that the ending of Rebels was my favorite, and they put Thrawn in there, as you know, and not to give anything away because I want you to see it, but Thrawn was a bit wasted, I would say. I would have loved to have seen Thrawn, show up on these versions, and like you said, Mara Jade, and everything and anything that was like expanded universe, but you could do it differently. Like Dash Rendar, that would have been so cool to see Dash Rendar.
Yep.
So I'm hoping, maybe as time goes on, we'll see a new trilogy or something like that. But I really just honestly don't feel like when they say it's the Skywalker trilogy, and maybe this movie will answer all the questions, sure, but I don't really like. I don't know who Rey is. I don't know who Finn is. I don't know who Poe is.
Yeah.
And then you have C-3PO, and they're going like, oh, I want to take one last look at my friends. I'm like, how much better would that have been if it's Luke, Leia, Han sitting there?
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, because honestly, I'm like, oh, that really pulls at the old heartstrings. But at the same time, I'm like, C-3PO doesn't know these people. He's never met Finn, right?
No, right.
And Rey and Poe met at the end of the last one for the first time. So.
Right. And R2 was offline throughout the whole first film. It was kind of and I think like for all the criticism that George Lucas has taken, I felt like the one thing that he did right was expand the universe in sequels. Now some of those movies are tough to watch now. Like they are tough to watch. Like Attack of the Clones, the whole love story thing is super creepy. I like the risks that they took in Last Jedi, but it didn't feel like Star Wars.
No, it felt like a made-for-TV movie to me.
Yeah, it didn't feel right. Like it didn't, and I know that your heroes, they don't always grow up to be what you want them to be, and that, like understanding that Luke felt like he failed, okay, and some of the decisions he made you don't agree with, but it happens. I mean, anyone that was ever a big wrestling fan in the '80s has seen those wrestlers. They don't end up where you hope they would.
Yeah.
It's the fame, the fortune, or whatever. It doesn't last. But that's not what I want to see.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to see Luke Skywalker fail. You want to see him walk out and wreck like 50,000 ATSTs with his fist. You know what I mean? Like,
kind of. Like that would have been cool. And I guess so. Like it being Rise of Skywalker, it's like unless Rey ends up being a Skywalker, I don't know how they explain that either. Like she's been interacting with other people and they never tell her. But I don't know. Hopefully J.J. Abrams can pull it off. I know it's going to look great. I know again, the visual effects team is outstanding.
I am so ridiculously excited, and I'm being honest. That trailer got me hyped, but I know not to get my hopes up. And to me, the fun of it is these are the new toys coming out, and get your tickets, and I like all that stuff. I really do. But I know not to get any type of investment to think it's going to end up being a good product, a final product. and that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? It's more fun for the lead up and thinking it's going to be good and having fun and talking about it like we're doing, but it's ultimately can never be as good as we want it to be. Let's just hope that it's passable, I guess, in some senses.
Yeah.
Because they really do have to cover a lot of things to make it okay, to leave it okay in this sense. Like
right.
It's.
I think, I mean, the corner that Rian Johnson was painted in with the second one is that the first film ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So, the one thing that maybe one risk that he could have taken was not have it take place right after. They could have skipped ahead. They could have been like, and showed how she was training and all that other stuff.
In terms of what we know as of Palpatine returning, what do you think about that?
I think so. To go back to Rian Johnson, I felt like he went in or J.J. Abrams came in and said, okay, here are the things that you should care about as an audience. Who are Rey's parents? We don't know. Is she a Kenobi? Is she a Skywalker? Is she a Palpatine? Like, who is she?
Yeah.
Who is Snoke? What happened to Luke? Right? Those things, right? Rian Johnson came along and said, it doesn't matter who her parents are. It just matters who she is right now. But he didn't tell us who she is right now. They just had her do things and kind of kept her away from the action, right? And so, like, Rian Johnson came in and kind of, I feel like my personal feeling is he made the audience feel like fools for caring about the things that we were told to care about in the first film.
Yes, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Like a brand new character comes in, and I think the actress that played Holdo, she's wonderful, right? She was in Jurassic Park.
Laura Dern.
Laura
right?
Dern.
Yeah.
She's a fantastic actress, but we don't know anything about her, so her sacrifice at the end doesn't matter. And if they really wanted to, maybe they could have made Akbar be the one. I don't know, but he made me feel like a fool for caring about the things that I was told to care about in the first film. So now going into the next one, I don't really know what I care about. I don't really know because he made Poe look like a jerk. He made Finn look like a coward, and like I don't know. And he made Luke seem weak. Huh. Well, those are all the things I was interested in the next film. So now I just don't know where it's going. So maybe that's good. Like maybe we go into the next one with for the first time in Star Wars, clear a clear field. Like I don't know what's important. I don't know what. Like maybe it's a Guardian situation where I go in and I'm like, oh, this is cool. But, but I do know. I mean, my kids just do not care about Star Wars. They don't care about the old films. To them, it's just another movie. And so I think Lucasfilm and Disney, they have their hands full. Like they trying to make it matter to kids who really Star Wars only matters to their parents. That's got to be a weird place to be.
It is, yeah, and I've talked about this with numerous people, and if you can't make Star Wars cool to kids, then you should know that you've completely failed because this stuff sells itself. You got spaceships, you got cool bad guys, and laser swords and everything else. If you can't make that cool, or you can't market that and make it fun for kids, you have completely missed the ball. And I think they have. And it's not the toys. The toys for Last Jedi were lackluster, but because the movie didn't have much going on. It's almost as if it was like Phantom Menace. What do we do with all these senators and things like that? They did have some cool aliens to kind of make for the Phantom Menace, but Last Jedi, I mean, they never even made the Phallus Siren. They didn't make the space camels. Those kind of elevate a movie sometime. The toys can make you feel better. And I would have loved to have those creatures, in my collection, and those would have been fun and maybe kind of go like, having a good toy line can always make a movie that's kind of lackluster feel better, at least to me. Mm-hmm. Not always, but for the most part, if you get cool toys, you can be like, oh, okay, I can kind of come up with what I want to think of as the movie or the plot. Or
Star Wars is they're tricky because I mean the most successful Star Wars toys are Lego, right? Like and lightsabers. Like lightsabers sell number one item for them. It's their number one, and you can tell by their toys that are their scales and the stylings and stuff like that they're doing anything and everything they can to try and keep market share because the retailers come in and they're like, Star Wars got to give you big space. but then you see that stuff just sit because you know, I don't think it's resonating with kids. I just don't think. And so they try like, let's do foreign figures again, but let's make them basic. I'm like, well, but the collectors are really the ones that care about scale. So it's kind of, and they introduced Black Series because 6 inches is what's cool. But then you had the vintage collection folks that were really upset, and they finally brought that back. And then you're only getting a few. I don't know. It's a good problem to have. It's an expensive problem because Star Wars royalties are very high.
Yeah.
So they're taking a gamble on everything they put out. But it'll be interesting. I'm really interested to see how those Galaxy of Adventures figures do for them. The sort of like Disney toy box ones.
Yeah. Have you gotten any? I actually have one, and I actually really like it. And
I haven't, but I do like them. I think they're great. I'm right now. I'm focused on the 6-inch Black Series. Like I tried to hone in one scale because it's way too late to get into vintage collection.
Well, to kind of segue into that, so Best Buy is going to be having an exclusive vintage collection AT-ST Raider, and then the IG-11 from The Mandalorian. They have been showing up at certain Best Buys in California, but they have an October 31st street date. So I'm definitely going after. It's basically like a redo of the IG-88 with new bandoliers, but that Mandalorian, man, you talk about Rise of Skywalker all day, but that Mandalorian looks aces, and I hope it is.
Yeah, me too. Because it's small. It seems like a simple story, and it could be really interesting. I think it could be really great for them. And the trick with that is that it's on Disney Plus, so I think it's going to be tough for it to have a wide audience. But you never know. You know, I mean, the Disney Plus catalog looks pretty great. It's just will people pay a subscription to watch things that they've already seen? That's the tough part.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that Disney Plus will explode and be an amazing thing as long as they kind of keep the quality. You know, I don't want it. Netflix has kind of gone either way, you know, with their streaming service. You know, they do really good shows and they do really bad shows as well. I think as long as The Mandalorian kind of keeps it up, I know they're already shooting season 2 and are well into it already because I'm hearing nothing but the best. So fingers crossed. You know, I'm very much looking forward to that sort of expanded universe aspect. I want to see new stuff with Star Wars. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. It's something fresh, something different. So it could be cool.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better though when you have zero expectations, much like I have with Rise of Skywalker, and being like, all right, I actually didn't mind it. It was a good way to end the series. You know, that's the best I could hope for, and that's the best I could hope for with any movie these days because it's just all cash grab. We know what it is.
Right. And the thing is, like, the versions that we love, the versions that people love, they still exist. They don't disappear. That comment that I see a lot, it's like, oh, this killed my childhood. It's like, no, your childhood's still there. The stuff that you love, like, we were talking about this before we started recording, but like for a lot of people, the Ben Affleck Batman is their Batman because that's, you know, the more violent and older and like the Zack Snyder version. They love that one. That didn't resonate with me. And to me, like, my Batman is Adam West. Like it's because that's like I watched the reruns when I was a kid, like on before school every day, and so like I love that Batman. He's the one that stuck with me the most. Having a super violent Joker with Joaquin Phoenix doesn't take away the Jack Nicholson one. That one still exists, and and for some people who don't even know it exists, like they can go out and discover that, and that's kind of the great thing about these characters. It's like there's a legacy behind them, and there's tons of interpretations of them. So if you don't like a version of one that comes out now, don't worry, another version's still coming. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a great way to look at it because, you know, I get a lot of messages all the time, and I didn't really care for the last Spider-Man, and I got tons of flack for that.
Yeah.
But I just didn't care for it.
I didn't either. I don't like. I think Tom Holland is wonderful. I think he makes a great Spider-Man. But the Marvel Cinematic Spider-Man is an Iron Man fanboy, and every single one of his villains is related to Iron Man. And like, I like Spider-Man standing on his own. I really like the Tobey Maguire one. I thought, as bad as the third movie was, I still think Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire was the best Spider-Man film.
Mm-hmm.
But but I don't disparage the new ones. Like that, I didn't like Far From Home either. It just didn't work for me. But a lot of people loved it, and they loved Tom Holland. I'm like, that's great. That's your Spider-Man. For me, I actually still really like the Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah. No, and it's what it is. It's all about liking what you like, and if you like it, fine. If you want to be that person that's going to give everybody a hard time about it, well, do it quietly.
Yeah. For judgment. I think that's the kind of the toxic nature of social media and stuff like that, is that you can kind of, with behind the wall, type up your like a negative message about something that you don't like, and someone can get very angry about that, and it's like, well, it's just doesn't matter. Like it just like, let's have conversations. Let's talk about it. Like, if you told me that you love the Zack Snyder films, I would think you're nuts. But that's you're entitled to that. That's your thing. And I'm not gonna. I don't know. Maybe we need to be a little bit more open minded about this stuff. That especially in fandom. I mean, because fandom's not real. Like, or these characters aren't real people. They aren't real things. They're just characters that get interpreted over and over and over.
I used to be like, I like this stuff. I like Star Wars. I like Spider-Man. And you would have to be kind of hush hush because you would get made fun of. Nowadays, you get made fun of for which Spider-Man you like or which Star Wars you like, which is hilarious that it's come to that point, because everyone is a nerd and everyone's got something, either a Netflix TV show or a movie or a toy or a pop. There's something for everyone. Yep. And that's what makes it fun. So you never know. Like, I've told a lot of people, I didn't have a lot of friends in that liked this type of stuff. I always had friends, but they didn't care. They couldn't care less about pop culture or toys or anything. So I had this was a me thing. It was what I did when I went home, or when I have my free time. So to have the amount of friends and us being friends and everything else now, it means a lot to me, and it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. It's an honor. Thank you.
Well, on that note, I think we will wrap things up. But again, thank you for coming on, man. I hope everybody enjoyed this kind of thing. It's nice to kind of banter back and forth and just have someone to talk off of and get a little different perspective. I can't always give you mine. You'll get bored real fast. This guy likes everything. But tell everyone before we finish up, where can they find you on social media so they can follow you and all your action figure goodness?
You can find me on Instagram at JNL_toys.
Don't forget the underscore. That's
important.
You got to
find, and you'll go to a different JNL Toys. I tried. Trust me, I tried. That's my initials, and that's just like the LJN, so that's why my logo looks like the LJN logo.
Oh, tricky.
Check me out there, and I'll be, and I also am in the messages under ToyShiz's account because I love to harass that dude.
Yeah, he's like my troll. He's like the guy that's I write something, he's like, yeah, right.
When you got that Pink Ranger figure, I was like, you son of a, I was looking for that one.
What did I text you? I go, I don't want to brag. Last question before we wrap it up. What's the number one toy? What's the number one toy for this month? Go.
It's got to be those NECA Bebop and Rocksteady figures.
There you go.
Get those things. I hope it comes out soon. And if not, it's that Pink Ranger. So
yeah. Well, hopefully, Bebop and Rocksteady will be up very, very soon. And I'm sure everybody listening is like, oh, I'm ready. Like, I've had tons of people messaging me like, did I miss it? Did I miss them? I'm like, no, they haven't gone up yet. Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine.
I'm just excited they're putting it online right away, because I never found the other 2 packs. I was lucky to get the SDCC pack.
Yeah.
I never saw them at store. So.
Well, it's good because in talking with NECA, they have been working so diligently to get that aspect with Target going, because they know people want that. And to finally have that come to fruition is like a win-win for everyone, at least in the United States. I know they're going to do different outlets for Europe and Canada and such, and then also Walmart. So NECA's killing it, man. Thank you again. And thank you to everyone who listens and subscribes and everything else. Don't worry, we'll be back again next week with Jesse DeStasio for What a Week, and plenty of action figure and pop culture news. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. As always, drink some great coffee, eat some great food, but most importantly, remember that Star Wars is what you make it. It's either going to be good or it's going to be really, really Rian Johnson. And when you do, let me know what you found. I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios.